and how can we make sure that when we do something, we are not fighting against the stream. We're not doing something that will never succeed, but we are going into our area of real impact and real influence. And today, I want to talk to you about your business. Now, this was what we did the last time. We're going to fast forward here, and we're going to open up a blank sheet here. So, again, today, I want to talk to you as an individual. When you are at a meeting like this, when you're listening in, it's because you want to do something more. You have a desire, you have a hope. Maybe it's not even a clear goal yet. Maybe it's something like a halfway fantasy. And we talked about it also in a couple of the other trainings, how we need to start formulating a goal. What is it that really drives us? What is it that makes us happy? What is it that really makes us go the extra mile? See, when you find what really makes you go the extra mile, everything you do becomes better, because you become better at everything you do when you understand that. But then there are some other things that we do need to have in place, because while it's good to be motivated, and it's good to be strong, and it's good to be, focused, and it's good to be committed, it's not enough. I'm sorry, but it is not enough. There are some outer factors that we do need to have control over, that we need to simply understand in order to assess whether the opportunity is something for me, is something I can do, and it has a future. Now, there's a four-letter formula for this, and it's actually 4 words that I'm using for this. So the first thing, when you look at something, you want to look at is basically the market. See, you need to understand, is there a market for what you do? If there is no market for it, then it doesn't really make any sense. You can be as committed as you want to. You can be, as focused as you want to, and you can be as motivated as you want to. But if there is no market, then, you're fighting against, you're swimming upstream, and you're wasting your energy. You cannot just bring up a market that is dead. The next thing you want to look at is you want to look at the product. So, does your product actually fit the market? Do you have a product that actually resonates with the market? Because again, you can have an exploding market, and you always want to see a growing market. But if you have a product that does not match that, you don't have a chance. And you can be the best in the world and you don't have a chance. Let me give you an example. If you are going out now and you want to sell microwave ovens, or you want to sell fax machines. See, we still use microwave ovens. Fax machines are absolutely gone. But if you still are wanting to launch a product where you are not new, you are not in a growing market, you will be in a declining market. So your product needs to be in a growing market. This is very important. Your market must be growing. Your product must be in that market. If it is not, you can train, you can do, you can work, but you will work against the stream, and there is no way for you to really get a momentum into achieving what you want to do. See, if you are not in a growing market, you are in a declining market. See, the market is something that's always alive. If it's not growing, it's declining. When you see a declining market, that's when you see that the price competition is very, very high. You see that people on the workplace starts, pushing everybody away with their elbows. It's not a nice working environment anymore. And everybody is pressured on the cost everything, is really being restricted. It's turned down. We've got to save money. We got to do. And these are all signs of a declining market. In a growing market, we're investing. And you are in a growing market because your business is all about launching products and businesses. That's what you do. Is there a need for that? Yes, there is. There is a tremendous need for that today and in the future. So you have an awesome market. Now, what you need are products that you can tap into at the right time and then start growing with them. Because if you're able to do that, you're going to find yourself with a business where you are swimming with the stream. And that means you can swim very, very slow, but you will travel very, very fast. And it also means that you do not have to be the best of the best. But what you do need, you need to identify the market and the product because that's the stream. And then you got to jump in. The next thing you got to look at is strategies. See, I might have, the biggest market on the planet, and I maybe have the best product of all times. But if my strategy is, I need 10 million euros from you to join my business, I think some of you, just like me, would say, wait a minute, I don't have that money. I can't do that. So everything here may be right. But if the strategy is not right for me, then maybe, all of this is not possible. So I got to have a check with the market. I got to have a check with the product, and I got to have a check with the strategy. Now, what is your strategy? Well, your strategy is something that looks very simple and therefore totally underestimated in the global marketing space. Your business is a reference business. It's a business where people are talking to people. Now, if you talk to a marketing expert, and I don't care where in the world, I don't care if they are online marketeers, if they are in the creative department, this here is a fact. It's the highest form of marketing there is. It's the highest form of marketing. You will never find a situation where trust is higher than when you have a customer that becomes an ambassador for your product. See, imagine yourself going somewhere and you want to buy a Mercedes. And you are looking at the most expensive Mercedes they have there. And you're asking the dealer, is the car really worth the money? And the car dealer will say, yes, it's the best car there is. It's the best in the world. You want that car. But then ask the car dealer, what kind of car do you drive privately? And you will most likely find out he is not or she is not driving the car that they think you should pay the money for. See, when you buy a car like that, you are actually also not buying it from the person who is in the shop selling you the car. You will most likely have been riding with someone or talking to someone who said, if you want the best car in the world, you want that car. And you will believe them because they own one. They put their money where their mouth is. They actually did it. So their level of trust is higher, which simply means we're not buying it because of the technicalities. We're buying it because of the recommendations that are there. The last thing we're looking at is a thing called timing. See, timing, we're going to take that on the next slide because I need a little bit more space for that. When you look at timing, you've got to understand how the market operates. Everything that grows starts at some point, will test out a little bit, will grow up, and since fall back down. Nothing stays on top forever. And here you need to innovate, you need to be updated, you need to make sure that your product has a relevance to the market so that your business can continue. And again, we're back at the 4 steps where we started with the market, we went to the product, we went to the strategy, and we went now to the timing. But in this, you have different phases. Basically, there are 3 phases that any growth curve goes through. So the first phase here is the pioneer. The pioneers are typically people who are more excited about the technology, more excited about the mission, more excited about the fact that it's new. They want to do that. They want to make it work. They are driven by a passion for the product and to make it happen. They are driven by excitement of something new. Now, in this phase, that's very much a phase of trial and error. And then the market will be adjusted. What happens after this phase is you go into the second phase. And the second phase is sort of like the trend phase. The trend phase starts when more and more people are starting to buy that product. It's when more and more people are starting to get involved with that technology. It's when more and more people are popping up when you start seeing it on TV. You saw this with Bitcoin. It had a long introduction period where really nothing happened. Somebody bought the most expensive pizza in the world. We saw all of these things down here and everybody was laughing. Then they started seeing some trend curve grow here and it started kicking up. And what happened in this trend phase? It didn't matter where you lived in the world. If you went to the news station, they started talking about this new thing called cryptocurrency, this new thing called Bitcoin. And that's a typical sign that you're in the trend phase. When you're in the trend phase, that's just before the last period here, which is the mass market. Now, when you're in the mass market, that simply means you're starting a hyper growth. That is when you are reaching everyone. Now, I don't know the average age here, but I remember a time when we did not have mobile phones. I actually worked in a clothing store where the local lawyer came into the shop and he had the first mobile phone I ever saw. And when I do this, that is because this was the size of the mobile phone. And I remember he came into the shop and he took his phone and he placed it on the counter. My boss told me I should be next to that phone while he was shopping clothes. I should guard his phone. And I was very excited. I was standing there next to the phone and I was looking at the phone. And when people came walking by, I wasn't allowed to move. So I was standing with the phone. I said to them, hey, this box, it's a phone. It's a phone. There's no wire, nothing. And I lifted it up and I showed them. It's amazing. And you know how people reacted back then? Nobody said, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really, really awesome. No, all of the customers that I was talking to had an attitude of going, pish. Who does he think he is? How important does he think he really is? He has a secretary. I will never, ever carry my phone. My phone stays at home. I want my peace. That shit doesn't work. It's way too expensive. Now, at that time, the phone looked like a big box with a big antenna on, and the reception here was very, very, very bad. It was very bad. But then what happened in the trend phase? Certainly, you saw all of the sports celebrities and everyone else. They were no longer just sitting in their convertibles, but they were making sure that they also had their phone next to them. If you look at the films that was created back in those days, everyone had a scene where they spoke in some phone that looks like almost a phone box. It was called the Bone at the time, and the phone looked a little bit like this and had an antenna that big. So this actually, you needed to have a backpack to really carry around with you as well. And again here, it was extremely expensive. It was extremely expensive, poor contact. So you really had a hard time talking to people. And in those times, company trainers, such as myself, was running around with companies, teaching them not to use their phones when talking to their clients. because they annoyed their clients because of the poor connectivity. So the only thing that they should use the phone for is to say, hello, Anshuman, I'm on my way. I will be there 10 minutes early, or I will be 10 minutes late. See you when I get there, and hang up. Now, today, that thing has totally changed. It's a decade ago when we had more mobile phones than we had phones on the wall. Now, by now, you don't have a phone in the office anymore. You don't have a phone at home anymore. They are all gone. And by now, the average 8 years ago in Denmark was 3.6. 3.6 mobile phones per Danish citizen, newborns included. You know what that means? The madness of it. When a newborn baby comes out, you say, hello, your name will be Lotta. Here's 1, 2, 3.6 mobile phones. Welcome to Denmark. Welcome to your life. On average, 3.6 is what is being consumed by the Danes 8 years ago. 8 years ago. So when you hit into this mass market, what was really the driving force? What was the logic? Well, the logic was, the market was connectivity. We wanted to be in contact. So when you see a market that is growing like this, you want to step in, because then you swim with the stream. There was a company called Nokia. At the time when this market started here, Nokia was doing tires for cars. Nokia was doing rubber boots. They did not do anything with mobile phones, but then certainly they entered the market and they started growing. Now they went from a tire company, a rubber shoe company, into a tailor company, into a mobile producing company. And because they entered at the right time, they at one point was the biggest company in Europe. So how do you go from making rubber boots into creating mobile phones and making that the biggest in Europe? You do that by hitting the right timing and then take massive action. So when you look at these points here, you got to check your business. Is there a need? Is there a need for money? Because you're in the business of money. You are helping people make money. Yes, there is. Is your market a traditional market, or is it a way where people can gain extra income? It's a market where you can do both, but extra income here is possible. Now ask yourself, in a times of financial crisis and more, need around the world, is there a need for this? And the answer is yes, and it is growing like crazy. Your product right now is your team and your ability to communicate products that you can participate in. So you look at Planet IX, it is less than a year ago when that product came to the market. In July, which is next month, the first registrations were there. You could just put your name and email in, nothing else. And now that company is on the verge of entering not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, but 8+ exchanges. 8+ exchanges in the course of the next few months. And you will really see that this is something that was done by people who wanted to have an extra income, who found a product in a growing market. A year ago, when we talked about NFTs, nobody knew what it was. But now already 12 months down the line, people are getting a concept of it. We're talking about NFTs. We're talking about DAOs. Now, these are things that will be perfectly normal in the lives of many, many people. When we are looking just a few months, not years, months further down the road. Why? Because everything by now is growing faster and faster. The mobile phone made us communicate faster than ever before. The mobile phone went, from being something you could barely talk in, into being a, really other useless piece of electronics, into becoming one little screen with one button. But this little screen with one button on it can now go online. This little tool here is now carried by people who do not own a home, but they do own a mobile phone. We are more connected than we ever was before, and that is a huge upside. If you understand a little bit of Web3 that we discussed the last time, and you understand the power of networking. See, when it comes to Web3, which will fundamentally change every platform, every integration there is in the future, it will change it. If you're not adapting to the blockchain technology, you're not getting it. If you don't understand what NFTs are, if you don't understand what a DAO is, get busy learning it. You should get busy learning it right now, because these are things that there will be made a lot of money on in a very, very short period of time, because the momentum will be tremendous because of our ability to spread it and communicate it. 20 years ago, you could have a business that was very successful in one city and nobody knew about it in the other city. Today, that's not how we roll. If you have a success anywhere in the world, it will spread around the world through the internet very, very fast. News travels quickly. And for networkers, this is golden opportunity. If you understand how to build your business, if you understand that your connectivity as human beings, the way that you treat each other, the way that you enrich each other's lives, the way that you help each other, the way that you motivate each other, the way that you stick together and grow together. If you understand the power of that, you'll be able to utilize all of this. Now, I promised you that I would show you and prove to you why Web3 will take everything to a whole new level. And I will do that here. See, this here is another graph. And this graph here is Netflix versus Blockbuster. I do not know about everyone around the world, but Blockbuster was the biggest DVD producing company in the world. Anshuman, you had it in India as well? I can't hear you, Anshuman.
Yes.
Yes, they were there. So we went to Blockbuster because we wanted to rent a movie. And when we rented a movie, we wanted to make sure that they had that movie, because we were actually taking a DVD home. And Blockbuster did not only have one or two, they had like 20 of them. And they were absolutely dominating the market. At the time when Netflix started, they were already at 4 billion, and they were growing to 6 billion US dollars. Absolutely market dominating. Now, in the time of 2004, when they had their absolute high, here, you started seeing a slight growth with Netflix, but a very, very small growth. Netflix had very, very bad films, to be honest with you. And the quality of the films was very, very poor, because the quality of streaming was no longer was not good at the time. So what happened? A long story short, in 2012, they went from 6 billion at the highest down to bankruptcy. In 2012, Netflix was roughly at 4 billion. If you go in now, and we can do a live check on this, the actual value right now of Netflix is 81 billion. 81 billion. You know, this is times 12 compared to where they were. But you want to hear something crazy? Two things. What made this possible? Well, as we were seeing them starting to decline, we started to see how the speed of the internet started growing. And with the speed of the internet, so did the quality of streaming start becoming better and better and better. And now when we were no longer renting the films in the shop of Blockbuster, they wanted to make the extra money and they started selling the films to Netflix. They put it on Netflix so that Netflix could, make them a little extra money from that. But here's what then happened. After a while, we started saying, why would we go down to rent a DVD that we had to bring back again when we can go into one platform cheaper than renting one DVD, and we can have hundreds of films available to us? See, what happened was the technology became better. And as the technology became better, it meant better terms for the customer. It meant the customer now had a new standard. We don't want to run back and forth. You know what they did? They started offering a service where they could send their DVDs, but no one wanted to send them back. They did not accept the fact that the underlying technology was driving a whole new business model. And that's how the absolute number one went bankrupt. Here's another fun fact. Netflix is not alone. There's Amazon Prime out there. There's Disney. There's, what's called HBO. There are so many competitors in the market, and the market is like 100 times bigger than it was back in the days. So with new technology that connects the films and the people in a new way, an old industry that had a roof here, this was the top, certainly exploded into unforeseeable numbers because it had a new dynamics. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. I hope we make it very simple because this is so important. If you look at what happened to Nokia, Nokia went in and they were growing fast. And then they did not change their display. They did not change their phones. They did not adapt to the market. And the dynamics changed in the market because we changed. The way we used our phone changed. It was no longer about calling. It was no longer about an old menu. It was about the internet. It was about using it for other purposes. See, today we use our phone all the time. And by the way, we also call with it. We still call it a phone, but it's much more computer. When we call on WhatsApp, it's not a telephone. It's the internet that we're streaming with. Today, we have an expectation to be really 5G everywhere we go. It has to work. It has to be fast. And if not, we start knocking on it. It's like it doesn't work. My shitty phone. Because we have such high demand that Nokia did not understand. And they are falling out of competition despite the fact that they were so big. If you're not changing with time, times will change regardless of you. So you got to see new things as exciting. If you don't know it and you think, oh, that's scary, then don't see it as scary. See it as something cool and say, wow, if I can learn this now, imagine where I can be in the future. See, the ones who are introducing it, the ones who are teaching, the ones who are implementing are the ones who are ultimately riding the wave. Now, if you look at Netflix in the beginning, it was poor quality, poor film. We talked about that. But they did not see just the current situation. They understood that this would be able to serve customers in a very, very different way. Now, when you look at Web3, why will this do the same for our industry? Well, it's fairly simple. It will do that because it connects us in a new way. It will do that because it connects us to more people. See, through NFT connections and DAO collaborations, where everything is held on a blockchain, there will be new standards that we're creating here. As humankind, we will have that, it's a DAO this, it's NFTs over here. We will work that exactly the same way that we work our phones. Only we will understand it the same way we understand our phones. Right now, people are occupied with, what's the technology? I must understand everything about a blockchain. And the answer is no. Just like with your phone, you don't need to understand why and how it calls somebody. I call now Nurul. I'm not sitting and wondering, how does it really find Nurul? How does it know where he is? I don't do that. Here's what I do. I push in his number and I call him up and I expect it to find him in seconds. I expect it to have a clear tone and a clear signal. And if I don't have that, I will be annoyed and Nurul will be annoyed. Now, the same thing will apply when we're looking at Web3, because when more people have interest in the same platform, more dynamics will happen. See, with this example here, more people have an interest in Netflix than they did with Blockbuster, who is basically just distributing a film. You have to understand that when you're building your business. Network marketeers are perfectly groomed for connecting. It is what you do. It's at the core of your business. We go back and we look at your business one more time, and I need you to sit with this. This needs to stick to you. It needs to be something that's mentally tattooed. Why? Because this is your strong armor. This is what you bring when you are facing somebody who says, I heard about this networking thing. Doesn't work out. Not serious. All of that. You got to check the boxes. Which market are they in? Sometimes you will hear that and say, no, I'm in shipping. Well, shipping, is that a growing market? I don't think so. Drones are taking over some of your stuff. Yeah, we thought about having that too. There's high competition. There's great pressure on everything in that space. Well, I'm in banking. Whoa, talking about a business that's going straight down the hill. They are firing people. If you go 20 years back, if you were in a bank, you were set for life. You need to look at this with real eyes, real facts. But if you say, I'm in the right market, I have the right product, I have a strategy that I can do, something I can master, something I can become better in, and I know my timing is perfect because I'm willing to go through the pains of these phases and then kick it into the mass market. You went this way with Planet IX. Remember, Planet IX, big game that we have today, but back in the days, it was like, we need from you your name. We need from you your email address. And that was it for today. Bye-bye. We're like, wow, we saw a film. So why did we see a film? Why do we see all of that? We saw that because it creates an image and it creates a vision. And that creates the power. And then go in here and we saw, whoa, things are happening. Now it went on chain. It became transparent. It became Web3. Now, did it just explode straight away? No, because it's still in some testing. But now the markets are coming. And when you are seeing here one exchange, second, third, fourth coming, you know what that is? That is like doors into the mass market. Multiple of them. You are measuring the value of an exchange based on the people that it accesses, based on the volume that is there. Planet IX is just entering into the mass market. No one ever made it big that didn't see it through. So you got to see things through when you're looking at where you are. But you really also have to understand that seeing it through means you are in a growing market. You cannot see things through in a market that's not growing, because that is not up to you. You want to be in a market that's growing already, and then you want to see it through. And you'll be able to launch one business after the other. It'll render you more powerful. It will render you stronger and better than ever before. And by the way, you can keep staying with a network in growing markets because you are the mechanics that are bringing it to the market in the first place. So I hope that gave you a little different way of looking at your business or looking at business in general. Check these things. Can you identify? Can you say yes, 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 and yes? Then the only thing that's waiting for is you. And what drives you? Well, that's something you need to identify, because when you know it, there's no limits to where you can go. I want to thank you all for listening in on this Sunday. I'm sorry it took a little bit longer, but I hope it was worth your time. And Lotta, Anshuman, Nurul, Namfon, anything you want to add?
I just want to add, thank you so much, Jens, for the training. And Yeah, I heard you explaining this. Like many times I've heard your trainings before, but as I always say, also I always learn something new because you make it very simple to understand, but you always add something extra to it that is helpful in many ways. So I mean, I think that no matter if anyone in this call today has no experience directly about technology, Web3 and DAOs and so on, what you were speaking about, it's very much understandable. And we very much understand that this is where we are going. And it's up to you to summarize, up to each and one of us, up to each and one of us. You ended up with you. So I believe that we can go as far as we really want to go. And also, one thing is that and it was so good when you took now with the markets and to box it off and to see. This is something I believe that every one of us are facing when it comes to network marketing. What are you doing? And we are explaining and explaining and explaining just to use these four headlines, and start with the market and what business are you in? You took shipping and you took banking, and banking is really interesting in the way you explained it. So no, for me, it was just a great time, very valuable time to. I also took notes again, but for sure I will take some time now directly after the call to go through it. And that for me is very important, because if I leave the notes for too long and I go back to them, then I have lost so many parts that is important for me to really apply it myself now. So that's something I want to cherish, or encourage is the right word, to each and one of you that are listening and also took notes. Take some time now after this call to go through your notes so you can really apply your words into it. And if there's something that you already forgot, ask the question directly, so you don't, because if you look at these notes tomorrow, it will not be the same thing for sure. So thank you very much, Jens, so much for this one. And I leave it over to you, Ansuman. I know Narul is here too from Paris. I had the pleasure to meet Narul in Stockholm.
Oh, you are roaming around, brother.
He's in Paris now. He's like you. He's like you now, Ansuman. He's traveling around.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jens. I'm sorry for joining a little bit late because I was traveling as well. The thing is, I was expecting you in Stockholm office, but I heard that you left one day early, so I missed you. But it was a great meeting with Kenny in the office, and also it was a great pleasure and great motivation to visit the Planet IX new office. Yeah, it was really great. And after today's training, you always, since I saw you, from the beginning day, from the first day, back in Bangkok in 2016, I think, and from the day I know you, you have a reputation to me that you can explain anything in the most easiest way in the world, with an example and whatever it is, and not, it's not for me as well. Everyone can understand like the way you say. And thank you very much, because this is very important thing for now for us, that we are converting from Web 2 to Web 3, and we are early adopter basically. And yes, many of our attendants maybe don't understand, but I request you, everyone, that go through your note, or maybe you can check the recording as well, maybe later on, if it's available. I don't know, but yeah, there is nothing better than listening live, training. So whenever we call a training, don't miss from the next Sunday and onwards. So thank you very much, Jens, for your great training. And over to you, Anshuman.
Oh, you told everything. Lota told everything. Nothing to say, but always remember, guys, Lota said the right thing. Whatever we learn, We learn from James, and he explained us in a easiest way, and that is the power. And we know now what exactly we learned, and we took notes. Now is the time after this call, review yourself. If you review yourself, it will comes to your mind, because right now we listen and we review. After that, it goes to our mind, it goes to inner, and that will gives us a power to, apply any trainings or anything. So nothing to, say more. I can say thank you very much, James. And, the training you are giving us really empower us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ka. I
Thank
miss
you.
always never boring to learn from you, Ka Jens. I miss to learn live meeting with you when you are in Thailand. It's like many times that when you are here, all of us in Thai, we get a lot of things from you. Even we need to translation, but it's easy to remember, easy to follow up. Yeah. I wait to see you in Thailand again soon.
Say hi to Meg.
Mac, it's too many in this. We are listening, but we are all with the kid.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Hey, Shiki Miki, looks good.
Sorry, too many voice.
So, thank you.
Thank you,
Have
Jens.
have an awesome day. Have an awesome week, and see you next week.
You too. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.